Dr. John Braccio Day, Regional Psychological Services, drjohnb.com on the web over there. I don't know about this one. Why men have a hard time committing to a relationship. Now, I know some guys who have committed to relationships, so we'll find out what he means here. Dr. John Braccio. Hey, good morning, Doc.
Well, good morning to you, Mike. And, it's always true, women often have problems committing to a relationship. Our topic today, though, is why men will not commit to a relationship. This is frustrating and can be devastating for a woman who's looking forward to a relationship with a man who just really won't commit, okay? At times, these men may seem close and they may profess love and do all the things one would expect as steps leading to the final lifetime commitment. Well, that these steps do not lead to a final commitment shows it's a problem not only for the person who will not get the commitment, but often for the person not giving it. I've known, many men over the years who could not make a commitment and ended up making a commitment to someone else they loved. But they feel they could have loved someone more if they had only made the commitment when their time was right. Typical reasons, really, a man will not commit would include fear of responsibilities, fearing a loss of freedom, not willing to give up a single life, has been in previously disaster relationships, fears of committing again and being rejected, difficult growing up home experiences that make it fearful to enter a lifelong relationship with someone, fear of arguing constantly in a home and not having peace, unfulfilled career educational goals and fears of abandonment, feeling unworthy of being loved, poor timing in relation to where they are in life and really a desire to be, cannot make a person number one, but always they'll keep them number two or lower, happy with the relationships the way it is, just don't really want to make any changes, may only want sex, may only want women and not want, want a number of them and not only one. Yeah. Desire to be more stable financially, not comfortable if the partner is making more income. You've even got that situation. And many other reasons that can exist. While this may seem like a large list of reasons that persons are fearful of entering into, men enter into a lifelong commitment, there really are things to do to counter these potential problem areas. If you're a woman and just feel you're being drawn into a never-ending relationship with no commitment to you, they would include determining what you want and need as a relationship develops. Indicate to the partner, to the man, hey, openly. Don't hide what your needs are and then develop great anger and frustration. Become friends first and sexual partners second. That can also help in many cases. Keep things very basic and simple as far as your goals and desires. Be patient, but have a clear ending time so you can maintain self-respect and an opportunity to find someone who wants to be committed to you for a lifetime. It also can be helpful when in such a situation to seek the advice of loving family and friends as well as a trained therapist experience in such situations. So this does happen, this situation, a lot of times where man has different reasons. They can be scared, they're worried, they don't want the commitment. And then you have a woman who's, really wants to have a commitment, and it leads to a disaster all the way around. So it's just something to be worked on, and I see it happens all the time.
Well, and we want to think nostalgically that back in the day everything was perfect. No, it was never perfect. However, you can't deny though. I just said this morning, my mother and father would be celebrating 79 years together had they lived this month. But you see people from that era who are around and 60, 70 years of wedded bliss, and then you see the marriages are down. Here's a question for you though: do we lay and not just infidelity but this lack of commitment? Do we lay that at the feet of culture and family, in that we're a couple of generations down now of dads not being around or split families? I'm not just blaming the men, but what I'm saying is we have nothing to base our relationships on. We don't know how to do it.
Well, I think there's a lot of truth there because a good share of persons, really even 40, 50, whatever age, grew up in homes where you didn't have just a mother and a father. You had just people coming in, people going out. So a lot of times people just, they're really not comfortable. Everybody don't even think about this as something to do. And so many people putting things off right now. It's just a very different world culturally. But this situation that we're talking about here has gone on for many years. I think a difference now, I think more and more women are putting off marriage and not willing to make commitments. But that's really not what we're talking about today. But like I've been married 51 years, which is considered a long time by most standards. But I think there's a certain number of people, I don't want to mention people I know, having nothing to do with my private work, that just could not make a commitment. And they end up, they may love someone and marry and have a successful life, but they will honestly say to themselves, if not to others, that they really made a big mistake because they just couldn't pull the trigger. They just couldn't, for whatever the reason might be. And so it can lead to just a lot of dissatisfaction for them. And then the person who can spend years waiting can often just get to the point, I've had enough of this. That's why I've worked with many people over the years, women and men actually, but mainly with women, just encouraging them to set some limits and kind of move on, because there are these people that just will not make a commitment, and clearly not make a commitment to a particular person, and it's just can be very devastating and to a person. Yeah. But again, back on your question, too, we're in an age very much so where a good share of persons have not grown up with what you call the traditional nuclear family, where they're not really ready to get in a relationship. They're more than ready to maybe even have a child, but not get married and see themselves settle down. So it's a complicated time. But specifically, if you're the woman in a case of what we're talking about, waiting and wanting for a commitment, and you don't get it, then it is time for them to move on and find what they're looking for. So but it can be a very difficult situation, and a lot of times, in the cases we're talking about here today, the woman will stay on, just waiting and thinking this person is going to change. But there's some that are never going to change, and will never change for that particular person. They just have to see the role differently, and they may be quite content just having a relationship with the person and not wanting to make a full-time commitment. They're fearful. They grew up in homes where they didn't see people getting along with each other. They've been rejected and abandoned themselves, so they're worried about arguing. Oh my goodness, I've heard more reasons over the decades on why someone is not going to make a commitment. So when that happens, the person has to say, well, I'll just stay in this, or just take a walk. And as an old saying used to go,
you got to burn the boats. You got to burn the boats. Don't leave yourself an out. You don't have a boat to get on to sail back home. So you're where you are. Doc Braccio, we're up on time, man. I think there's a lot we could dig into on this as far as cultural experience and modeling from fathers beyond you, and there's a lot here. But Doc, a very telling segment. Dr. John Braccio, Regional Psychological Services in East Lansing, drjohnb.com on the web. We just had our 26th wedding anniversary. I made it to 11 the first time. I got 26 under my belt this time, so I'm doing better.
You're doing good work, my friend. Listen, keep it up.
Have a great day. Thanks a lot.
Okay, bye-bye.
See you. 1320 WI.